Hi, Shamar, are you hearing me?
Hey, Nyoka, I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me?
Yes,
I'm super excited.
right. We're going live in 13 minutes or something. I should get my glasses so I can match you.
Yo, if
I
I
don't know
don't
where
have my glasses on, I can't see anything. So I'm.
I don't know where I put it.
All right, guys, let's go. Welcome everyone to the Power of Negotiation. We're glad that you decided to join us. I'm one of your hosts, Shamar Watson, and with me is,
Nyoka Manning.
and we are so excited to be here to talk about the power of negotiation. Um, I can definitely say that when it comes on to compensation or receiving benefits from my friends, family members, or even when I started working where I am now, compensation was a big thing. And in order to get the compensation that you think you deserve, you have to negotiate. So you have to be willing to talk for what you want. And I'm sure Nayaka has had some sort of negotiation
Right,
experience.
yeah.
And today we have the Treasury Committee has a very fun packed. I never thought I'd say fun and Treasury in the same sentence, but based on what I saw and what I'm seeing, it's going to be really fun and really exciting. Presentations, we have singing, we have a music piece, right?
Yeah, and we have some giveaways as
All
well.
right, I like
So
free
that
things.
is going to be super exciting.
All right.
Okay, so Shamar, you want to go ahead and tell them a little about yourself, what you're doing right now?
I specifically told him to leave this off the fire, but I think a lot of people should know by now if you follow me on social media that I'm currently a marketing coordinator at the Jamaica Observer Limited, where I focus on social media, but I do other stuff, so other campaigns, whether print, online, you name it. I'm also a YouTuber. I'm a budding YouTuber, so I don't reach nowhere yet. I start monetizing, but I still don't reach nowhere. And that's what I'm doing with my life right now. Currently a student at DUE Mona studying media management in a Master of Media Management at the Faculty of Humanities. And Nayuka, what are you doing? I heard you have a YouTube channel over there as well.
Right, yes, we're twinning. I also have a YouTube channel, also budding as well. So we're getting there slowly but surely. I'm also a second year journalism student. I'm at Carmack at UWI. And that's basically it. I'm a media enthusiast. I love everything media, literature, journalism, everything.
So we have
that's
two things in common.
right.
Well, three. We both do YouTube, both at Carmack. I both wear clear glasses. We just do have one hers now.
Right,
Just show
yeah, I
us.
just
Probably
can't
can't even see
find mine
nobody.
right now. I'm always losing my glasses, guys. So I hope you all are doing well. I hope you are all staying safe. So without further ado, we're going to go into our first presentation. And yeah, we're going to get into the meat of the matter because we don't want to keep you here long. And our first guest speaker is Everton Rattray. And he is hailing from a rural community in St. Catherine, Jamaica. Everton Rattray has proven himself to be one of the most promising youth leaders of his country. As a young professional, Ramsey strives not only to better himself, but also stays actively motivated to add value to the life of his peers and the community. Everton was the youngest among the 16 youth advisors selected by the government of Jamaica to issue advice on youth-related issues and render assistance in the development of youth policies. Mr. Rattray is also the former president of the National Secondary Students Council, which represents over 162 secondary schools across Jamaica and encapsulates over 300,000 students, and presently holds the position of president of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, that's JUTS, the governing body for all tertiary institutions across Jamaica. Rattray is the recipient of several distinguished awards and has been recognized for his impactful contributions to the development of youth and the nation at large. Among his most esteemed accomplishments are his receipts of the Prime Minister Youth Award for Leadership 2020, and the Governor General Award for Excellence in Leadership and Community Development. He also has the two highest awards given to a young person in Jamaica. Isn't that amazing, guys? He has also received the PPC Golden Senior Youth Leader Award for 2015 and was one of the 6 selected Roujon Foundation Scholars, receiving the Andre Bachelor Outstanding Leadership and Academic Performance Scholarship. Mr. Rattray holds a bachelor's degree from the University of the West Indies in economics and mathematics. Along with his academic accolades, stands impressive business accomplishments, which includes CEO of Corporate Shuttles Jamaica, a private transportation company, CEO of Annette's Catering Company, one of the most popular catering companies in St. Catherine, Jamaica. He is the owner and manager of the Phoenix Cafe, which operates on the University of the West Indies, Mona. He is also the owner of Sound Gear Audio and Lighting Services based in Kingston, Jamaica. Everton Rattray is a rounded individual who strives for excellence in all areas of his life. So help me please make welcome to Mr. Everton Rattray.
Okay, I was totally not hearing me. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for that lovely introduction. All right, so I don't have a presentation that I'm going to project on the screen. However, I do have a little presentation that I want to do today, and it's a very important one. Just to make sure, I'm not sure if you're all hearing me. If you're hearing me, just give me a thumbs up or something so that we know that we're here and the conversation can get going. All right, or type in the box or the chat. Okay, awesome. So it seems like persons are hearing. All right, perfect. All right, so the presentation I'm going to do today was I was asked to speak about the language of negotiation. And the language of negotiation is a very broad topic that we could speak about all different, the models of negotiation, you know, the stages of negotiation. We could speak about so many things pertaining to negotiation, but we're not going to delve into everything. The outline of the presentation today is just going to be about what is negotiation, why is negotiation so important, and then we're going to speak about the stages of negotiation. All right, and that's just the basic fundamentals we're going to speak about. We only have 15 minutes, and I want to try to make this presentation as meaningful as possible, right? So I've had the opportunity to have been in several situations before where I had to negotiate. I had to decide, you know, make a major decision. And that decision was totally influenced by how I dealt with the situation, by how I dealt with the negotiation process, right? And as such, it resulted in the possibility that having the University of the West Indies, having the Phoenix Cafe on Hall. It resulted in me starting the transportation company. It resulted in me getting sponsorship for several initiatives and programs that I wanted to do. And it resulted in so many things. So I'm just going to go quickly through as we start. So the first question I want to ask you is, what is negotiation? Right? And it's a very important question for us to answer. All right? And negotiation is basically a method by which people settle differences. It is a process by which compromise or agreement is reached while avoiding an argument or a dispute, basically. So it's basically trying to resolve a matter without resulting in an argument or a problem. And it's very important that you understand that. Because the next very important question is, why is negotiation so important? Now, I want you to hear me very carefully when I speak on this particular aspect. Now, you negotiate every single day of your life. You're negotiating with yourself. You're negotiating your salary when you're going to get a job. You're negotiating with your parents. You're negotiating in every aspect of your life. And as I mentioned, most importantly, you're negotiating with yourself. You're negotiating if you should do that, if you should study tomorrow. You're negotiating if you should study for an hour tonight or you shouldn't study for an hour, right? So there's negotiation with yourself, and then there's also negotiation with the external world, right? It's very important that you be able to differentiate those things, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to let you understand, when you improve your negotiation skills, you automatically improve the quality of your life. And I can tell you this, I've had the opportunity to have represented Jamaica I've traveled about 10 different times across the world to represent Jamaica. And it all became possible because, one, I developed my leadership abilities, but part of my leadership ability is learning how to negotiate. And that is what I want you to understand. Your negotiation skills are critical to any aspect of your life, right? So we're going to look at the stages of negotiation, right? And I'm going to try to use practical examples from my life and how I have done it to help myself, so that in some regards that those can be shared with you and you could probably learn something from what I've learned. No, I'm not trying to say to you that I am the best person to speak on the matter or anything of that nature, but I've learned some things along the journey. And I also believe these are things that could benefit us, that could benefit the young persons who are here today, right? Because I'm just 24, right? Just completed my degree program. It's not like I'm 45, 50, going up in age. I'm a young person just the same. But I learned the quality or value rather of negotiation at a very early stage in my life. And I've used that ever since to improve my life. I've gotten the Prime Minister Award for Leadership. Part of that process is also learning how to negotiate, right? So I just wanted to mention that. Now, let's delve into some of the stages of negotiation, and I promise to be very quick. The stages of negotiation, in essence, will be a 4-part process, and it's a general framework that I recommend to persons. Try to keep in mind as you go about your life. Very important. Try to keep it in your mind as you go about your life and you go in your day-to-day task. Now, the first stage, and I ask you, if you're here, I'd ask you to write these down just to make a little note of it, right? And it's a framework, as I mentioned, to keep in your mind. Now, the first stage is preparation. And I hope you're writing it down. The first stage is preparation. Now, if you want anything in your life, you have to first prepare. Now, I said I would use practical examples. When I wanted to open a cafe on the University of the West Indies campus, the first thing I had to say to myself is, let me do some research. Let me look around the campus to see what is happening. Let me look and see what is happening on the campus. I realize, okay, all right, so there's a cafe on the towers. All right, there's a cafe on the Gerald Lane. There's a cafe rather on Georgia Lane Hall. I realized that there's a cafe on Taylor Hall. Okay, so most of these halls have cafes, right? Then I look further in my research and I realized, oh, the Les Robinson Hall doesn't have a cafe. Yes, in your research, you will find the different circumstances. You will find different information that might help you to guide your decision. Very important you understand that, right? So that's how I realized that the Les Robinson Hall didn't have a cafe, because I did my research. No, but apart from just research is also understanding what is it that you want. You have to know what is it that you want, right? And I'm speaking very broad context in terms of what preparation is in terms of negotiation. So please keep in mind that, all right? You have to know what is it that you want. Now, if you're working somewhere and you're being paid, let's say $500 per hour, and you'd like for your pay to raise by $550 per hour, you need to know that that is what you want. You can't say you want your pay to raise, but at the same time, you don't know what you want. That is a bad place to start the negotiation. You need to know what is it that you want. And in life, the persons who know what they want tend to really get what they want. Because in life, when you focus on something, when you know what is it that you want to aim at, you will oftentimes achieve it, right? If you are persistent, right? So it's important that you know what is it that you want, right? Next thing, you have to also understand the powers. You have to understand who have the power in what situation. And I speak of, for example, right? So while I did my research and I was preparing, I asked myself the question, who would I need to put this proposal to if I wanted to have a cafe in the Les Robinson Hall, right? And just the same, you might have a business idea and you want to know how could you get it established. You need to know who are the persons in charge, who are the persons who are the powers to make the decision, who are the persons whose hands is the decision going to be based on. These are questions that you must ask yourself, right? And I say, all right, cool. I must reach out to the management of the Leslie Robinson Hall. And if you're on campus, you would know that the hall is managed by the 138 student living private entity, right? Because it's a public-private partnership between the University of the West Indies and 138 student living, right? So I said to myself, all right, so I know who are the persons in charge, then I need to prepare a presentation, a proposal, right? And it's all a part of the preparation process. So in essence, what I'm saying to you is that you have to prepare. And there's a saying, if you fail to prepare to fail. And I want you to keep that in mind in all aspects of your life. Whether you're negotiating with yourself, whether you're negotiating with a company for a higher salary, whether you're negotiating with a friend for them to do something for you, it's very important that you have to know why is it that you want that person to do that for you. You have to make sure you do your fundamental preparation so that you can convince somebody for something. All right? So that's the first thing that we want to get out there. And there are several other things that you can do in the preparation phase, but I told you I wanted to be very precise and to the point. Now, the second part of the process is the discussion, or should I say, we sometimes call it the process. And it's a stage at which you find out each party's need, right? So for example, you want something. No, I want to have a cafe on the Leslie Robinson Hall. No, that is what I want. Now you have to ask the question as well. What would they want to allow me to have this cafe on the Leslie Robinson Hall, right? Now it's a facility, therefore I would need a space, yes, but they would also need some form of compensation, rent or something of that nature, right? So I know that is what they want, right? And it must be a reasonable rent that they will be willing to be comfortable with, right? So I know that is what they would want, and they'd also want to know that it's a facility that caters to the well-being of the students on the hall, right? Now, with that in mind, with understanding those things, we start a discussion, right? You start a discussion with whoever you're negotiating with, or even with yourself. You know that those are the things that you want, right? So you say, all right, I want to study for, I need to study for an hour, right? And you might say to yourself, all right, I want to study for, I need to study for an hour, but at the same time, I want to enjoy myself as well. I want to relax. So you say, all right, I'm going to study for an hour. In exchange, we're going to take 2 hours and we're going to relax and we're going to watch some Netflix and chill, right? And part of that is negotiating with yourself. You have to understand that without negotiation in that regards, that discourse of trying to have that kind of discourse with yourself. It was Dr. Jordan Peterson who said, if you don't try to speak to yourself as though you're somebody who you respect and you want to see improve in life, it's going to be very hard for you to be able to negotiate with yourself. And I'm talking about the interpersonal negotiation now. Now, you have to be respectful to yourself when you're negotiating, right? You can't negotiate with yourself as though, you have no respect for yourself, because it's going to make it a lot harder for you. So part of it is that you have to understand that as humans, we're sometimes very indisciplined creatures. So sometimes, just in the same way as business, if you're too hard in the negotiation process, it makes it even harder for you to get what you want. And just the same with yourself. If you're negotiating with yourself, sometimes you have to be a little bit more gentle with yourself. Sometimes you have to be a little bit more understanding and principled with yourself, right? And that might means that you need to have a much more conversational tone with yourself. You might say to yourself, hey, Everton, you said you were going to do 2 hours last night and you never did it. Why? And you have to be honest with yourself. And you say, you look at it, you're like, Jano, I didn't do the 2 hours because, I was kind of, I get carried away in this movie I was watching. Or you say, whatever it is, and you realize that you're being honest with yourself, all right? So what you plan to do about it, right? And that is having the conversation, having a discourse with yourself in a way that will allow you to be able to see what is happening. Right? Now, with that being said about having the discourse and understanding what is it that you want, what is it that the other persons want, the other person want, and be able to know how you move from there, because that's very important, right? And at this stage, you're not making any decision. You're just getting clarity on understanding what is it, right? So when I went with a proposal to the Les Robinson Hall, I said, you know what, I want to have the cafe on Hall, right? And they said, all right, you need to, the proposal that you have sent in is not very clear. You need to have a detail drawn up of the facility. You need to have a better understanding of the projection in terms of financials. There are several things that they said that they would have been much more important. And at that stage, we weren't making any decision as yet. We're just going back and forth, understanding what is it that they're most important to them. And at that stage, we understood that, right? So I went back and I corrected it, right? Then we move to the third stage of that process, which is now making a decision, or should I say the bargaining stage, right? And it's a stage at which you now look at what is it is a decision that we can make, understanding what is it that the other person want, and understanding as well what you personally want, and try to have some place that you meet. And oftentimes it's recommended that you try to have a win-win situation, right? And a win-win situation means that, you know, you're trying to get something that will be beneficial to you, but at the same time, the person is not leaving the conversation feeling as though they're disadvantaged. And please understand that sometimes these things can happen in different ways, right? So it's very important you understand that, first of all, right? So we're not at the bargaining stage, as I mentioned, where you look at the situation, you say, all right, these are what they want, and these are what I want. How can we meet somewhere that is, would I say, that is, you know, beneficial to both parties? Very important, right? And when you meet that, when you reach that place where it's beneficial to both parties, then you can say, all right, this is my recommendation. This is what I propose. And at that stage, that is when I said, all right, 1/3, I'm willing to pay X amount of rent, given that I will have to do over the next 3 years or 4 years, construction, financing, and all that I may need to pay for. And they said, all right, not a bad proposal. However, based on our financial structure and everything, we will charge XYZ, right? And then we see, all right, where can we go? And the purpose of that is to say that at that stage, I knew what is it that they were looking for. And from hearing and having a discussion with them, I then understood that I need to make sure that these are some things that they want. And I made clear to them what I want. And we were able to say, you know what, we move to the fourth stage, which is the stage of closing or making an agreement. Now, I've spoken of this in a business context, but I also want to try to bring it home as well in a personal context in terms of with yourself again. Now, when you're having that discourse with yourself, you have to know what is it that you need to do and what is it that you want personally, right? For example, sometimes you don't want to put in the extra hour. You want to do an Instagram business, but you don't want to spend the time to develop the Instagram page. You know, sometimes you want to do certain things, but you don't want to spend the work that is necessary to get it done. You have to learn to negotiate with yourself. And in that negotiation process, you have to be real with yourself. And when you negotiate in those contexts, you have to say to yourself, all right, you know what, I need to do 2 videos today. And if I'm going to be able to do those 2 videos, then I know that tomorrow I'm going to have tomorrow free for myself, right? And you have to be able to negotiate and say to yourself, all right, I see the value in putting the extra work today. And that is just in terms of your interpersonal self, this negotiation. And just the same in the business world, you have to also look in that regards. And I mentioned the last stage, which was the closing/agreement. At this stage, when the agreement is made, you know what is it that you both parties are agreeing on, and you understand where you guys are going, right? So I've just mentioned a 4-part process to negotiation. First, preparation. Know what is it that you know, do your research, understand why, you know, what is it that you want. Understand totally what is it that you want. And when you understand that, then we move to the second phase of that process, which is the starting the discussion. And in the discussion, you start to understand clearly what is it that the other party want. Understand what is it that would be most beneficial to them. Understand why is it that they need these things, right? And then we move to the next page, the bargaining. Then now you make a decision. All right, I understand that X, Y, and Z is what you want. I'm willing to give you X and Y if you're willing to give me A and B, right? And you come to some agreement there. Well, we move to the fourth stage where we make an agreement. Now, I've stated this in a very general context, and I didn't speak of it in a very specific terms. But I can tell you, I've had the privilege of starting several businesses. I've had the privilege of also negotiating several contracts. In fact, today we just came out of a meeting with the Minister of Youth. And a part of that meeting was that we had to negotiate with the minister about certain things that we wanted for the young people in our country, right? And very important in that meeting, I had to make sure that I did my research going into that meeting, understanding what are the things that could have been possible coming out of that meeting, and also understanding what is it that the minister, or should I say the ministry, wanted in particular coming out of that meeting, right? So I had to prepare. I had to then have that discussion in the meeting, understanding further what is what, and then we had to make sure we do our decision, we bargain, we decide what we could agree on and what we could get done, and then after we made an agreement, right? So that is the 4-part process that I recommend that you use in negotiation. And I just want to close by saying this, right? I promised I wouldn't be very long. I just want to remind you that negotiation is one of the most important tools that you will use in your life, because you don't just negotiate in terms of business, you negotiate in terms of your personal life, you negotiate with your family, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever your circumstances, whatever it is your circumstances, you negotiate. And I would tell you to spend some time and read and learn about negotiation online, right? Go online and read about negotiation, because it's going to play a very crucial part in your life, right? And just wanted to remind you of that, and it will make your life easier. So again, thank you for having me today, and I hope my very short presentation would have done some justice to the conversation of negotiation. All right, thank you.
That was a wonderful presentation, Mr. Rattray, and we want to thank you for being here. Everyone is saying great presentation.
That's right.
That's indeed true. And I
changed my
hope.
location, by the way. So
What
by
was
the end of the day, I changed my location. So by the end of the day, you'll know every office in the Observer.
Right. We're getting a tour.
All right. So we're moving on to the next presenter. That's Mr. Taran Noir. So he is an entrepreneur philanthropist. He's a policy analyst. He is a marketer as well, who made his start at the University of the West Indies, where all great people start out. Remember that, UWI. He earned his Bachelor of Science degree and his Master of Science in Government. Not only that, he has been Google certified in B2B and B2C digital marketing. And I'm sure he's going to tell us what B2B and B2C are, because I'm not saying I don't know, because I am a marketer. So I'm not embarrass myself, but I prefer him tell it, because he would probably be better to explain than me.
All right.
So he also has an associate and master's degree from the Digital Marketing Institute in Ireland. In his tenure at UWI, Mr. Noir served the Guild as the GCC VPPSI and the Guild President not once, but twice, where he was awarded the Premier Award in Leadership and in Service. Not once, but twice. Mr. Noir has earned experience in public policy, political science, and law and governance, just to name a few. Currently, the marketing manager for the Sagicor Group, managing the Sagicor Life brand in Jamaica, Cayman Islands, and Costa Rica. Please help me welcome man who was Guild President twice, GCC, VP, PSI, and now brand marketing manager for the Sagicor Group, and that's for Jamaica, Costa Rica, and the Cayman Islands, Mr. Taran Noir.
Everybody, how are you doing? Do you hear me?
Hello, Mr. Duar. Yes, we're hearing you.
I didn't hear the introduction, but I'm going to assume that you're here, and I'm going to deliver a very short and potent discussion around soliciting sponsorship. Nyoka, you're hearing me, right?
Could you please repeat?
I'm asking if you're hearing me.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
And Shamar, you're hearing me.
Yes, Mr. Marketing Manager. Definitely hearing you.
Great. So, I didn't hear the introduction, and I'm going to assume that everybody's hearing me. So, I'm Taran Noir, as was introduced. And I had the privilege of serving on campus. I'm going to make one assumption in this presentation for context. I'm going to assume that the majority of your audience are either university students and people who hold some semblance of positions in arts, clubs and society, and various field councils, various clubs and societies across campus. The assumption that I'm going to make so that my presentation is contextualized and framed in some of the examples that I'm going to give. Now, my presentation is perfectly pitched in my experience on campus. And a lot of experience, and the experience I've developed over from campus days and what I'm now experiencing as a marketing manager who receive hundreds of sponsorship proposals per month. So when I tell you, say I saw this thing go, I saw it integrate to sponsorship. Now, I've had the pleasure of serving on various hall committees, bill committees in my time at university, and I've written more than my fair share of sponsorship proposals. To the point where I've written proposal templates, and when I moved on into the corporate world, years after some of the proposals that I keep getting from the campus, I wrote them. I know what it is about. I know what they are about. All they literally did was change the date, change the amount, change the event name. I wrote them. I have the files in my drive. Now, there are a couple of things. Obviously, looking at this document from this piece of experience, I recognize that. I mean, I didn't know as much as I should have known on the campus. And my team was fairly successful because my guild team probably raised the most sponsorship dollars. I mean, it's the second time I was president. We actually got at least $60 million in sponsorship from corporate Jamaica. And it's an experience and learned skills that we developed over time. So sponsorship. Now, the first thing you need to know when negotiating sponsorship is this. You have to know your audience. That's the very first thing. And I'm going to make this a 3-step process. You have to know who your audience is, who it is that you're writing the sponsorship proposal to. The second thing is that you want to keep it simple. A 50-page pitch deck with a lot of content don't mean that the sponsorship proposal is better than a simple proposal. And the third thing you need to do is focus on value. Now, if there is any discourse around pitching for sponsorship, you will capture one of those 3 pillars. Knowing the audience and focusing on the value that you're presenting, keeping it simple and concise, and focusing on the value. So discussion, a sensible discussion around generating sponsorship will focus on one of these 3 things. Right? But I don't want to go academic. I actually want to go very practical, given that I've made a definition of what the audience is I'm pitching to. And I want to say to you guys that when you're negotiating, this is something you need to keep in mind. If the event or initiative that you are putting on cannot be done without a sponsor coming on board, it means that the planning process of the event needs to be revamped. And that's what I mean. If the event or initiative that you're putting on needs a sponsor for it to be executed, something is wrong with the planning process. Sponsors don't make your event, they embellish it. So, in a sense, you don't want a sponsor to come on board. You don't want to be going to a sponsor and say, we need you for this event to happen. In that regard, you've lost your leverage, whatever leverage you have. Then you're not bringing value to the sponsor. the sponsor is bringing all the value to you. And that's what I'm saying, Nyoka. So if you need the sponsor for this event to have absolutely need them, something wrong with the event. And something wrong with the planning of it. Sponsor embellish, they don't make the event. So in a sense, when you go to the sponsor, remember I say you must know the audience. No, we have this tendency. We write a sponsorship proposal, sometimes very generic, and we send it to all and sundry. Everybody get the same proposal. Now, we call that the spray and pray methodology, meaning you spray your proposal all over as far as much email addresses that you can get. Now your screen on my screen has frozen, so I want to make sure that you and everybody else is here.
Yes, I'm still here. I'm still hearing you.
Okay. So we call it the spray and pray methodology, which means that you get a sponsorship proposal and you all you do is go in and you change the name of the company and you send it to somebody and hope that somebody picks it up. You spray the proposal, you pray that somebody picks it up. Now, what you actually should be doing is identifying what the value, the initiative or project that you're bringing, what the value can it give, and which sponsor, which corporate entity, which person that you're seeking support from, does it best align with their goals and objectives. Now, I'm going to tell you straight up, when it comes to sponsorship, sponsors looking for three things. And then seeing this in a million different ways, it comes down to three things. One, you need to find out sponsors want to make money, they want to generate awareness, and they want to generate goodwill. One of three things. So the sponsors' objective to sponsor is because they want to get back something in return. That's the bottom line. They want to get back something in return. And the thing that they want to get back in return is they want to figure out how they can make money by sponsoring this event, or how they can generate awareness by sponsoring this event, or how they can generate goodwill by sponsoring this event. These three things I want you to pay attention to. Money, awareness, goodwill. Now, so let's say a company that sells what we call FMG, fast moving consumer goods. Fast moving consumer goods are things like water, biscuits, sometimes alcoholic beverages, ready to drink. So ones in the bottles. Yeah? Now, if you understand, so when you're keeping an event on campus, let's situate it there, and you want to go to a company who sells one of these things, or trade one of these things. Remember, I tell you, the sponsor wants three things. They want to figure out how them can make money, how them can generate awareness to them product and service and themselves and them brand, and how them can generate goodwill. Your sponsorship proposal must focus on one of those three values or multiple of those values. In a sense, a properly crafted sponsorship proposal and the proposal just wow. A properly crafted sponsorship proposal can literally help you as the person to write your own sponsorship check. So in a sense, if you go to a sponsor and you tell the sponsor that every X that you give us, we will help you to move X amount of product. Once the value trade makes sense, the value that you're giving them in terms of exposure to your target audience, and they can convert that into cash, you can literally write your own sponsorship check. And let me use a loose example. Right now, I'm still not about a case of water. If you say to a sponsor that every case of water you give us, we'll get you to sell too, and that makes sense, that value trade makes sense for them, you can literally write your own sponsorship check. Because if they make the calculation and it makes sense for them to give you two cases, for every one case they give you, they will sell free. They will continue to give you cases. You understand? If the objective of that business is to generate awareness for a new product that they've launched or service that they've launched, and the event or initiative that you're putting on guarantees them X amount of awareness, and you have to find a way how you measure success. You have to define a way. In every sponsorship, you have to define a way how you measure success. What does success mean? And you have to clearly report on that. So once you're able to demonstrate those things, once you're able to demonstrate that if it's money is the objective, this is how you sponsoring us will help you to make money. If awareness is the objective, this is how you generate awareness, and this is how we'll quantify and qualify it. And if goodwill is the objective, this is how you do it. So as I said to you, you need to define how it is that you how it is that what it is that the sponsor wants. If they want to make money, you have to pitch your sponsorship proposal in a way to show them how they will convert their sponsorship into revenue. If it is that their primary objective is to generate awareness for their brand, their product, or service, you need to pitch your sponsorship proposal in a way that shows them how they leverage that. And if it just generate goodwill, we need to pitch in that way. For example, I focused on an example a while ago that spoke how you can convert farms and consumer goods into money. But let's say, for example, the bill for an affairs person is putting on an event, let's say a back to school treat. And obviously, there is no way for them to convert that goodwill event into revenue for business because nothing is being sold there. Actually, we're giving away things at that level on the game. We need to identify players in the sponsorship market who are in it for the goodwill. Now, there are a number of people who do that. You understand? If you look across the corporate spectrum, you have a number of companies that in the in a lot of instances. So we have to target the initiatives that you're doing to the value that the company exposes. So you have to, if it's a what we call a goodwill event, you find out the goodwill of that company, the foundation, you pitch your project to the foundation in order to get some stuff. So
Okay, so Mr. Noir seems to be having some bad connection. So we're going to move on our program to our talent piece, which is by Ramon. That's Ramon Wallace. Okay, he seems to be having some issues, but we're still going to wait on him. So Ramon will be here shortly. I see Tyreek McLean saying, "Trust me, I am reflecting on it." And I am reflecting as well, McLean, because you know that with negotiation, you can get a far way as we're seeing here. And negotiation is all about helping us on our road to success because we are on our road to success and we're succeeding a lot as it is right now. We might not be where we want to be, but we're still reaping some rewards along the way. I also see Nadisha Pina commenting that Mr. Noir was an amazing man. So I guess his presentation was amazing, and I agree. He was indeed amazing. He was indeed amazing. He talked about sponsorship and how sponsorship really contributes to our progress in negotiation. Guild president not once but twice, right? Very successful. He's a very successful man. And I know we aspire to be like him. Okay, so unfortunately, Ramon is unable to connect. So we're going to move on to our next guest speaker, which is Mr. Siobhan Williams. And Mr. Siobhan Williams is Mr. Siobhan Williams is a firm believer in co-curricular involvement and student leadership, a champion of advocacy starting from his first year of residence on Chancellor Hall, after which he then served on the UWI Guild of Students as the Faculty of Social Sciences representative, advancing to the role of vice president and serving as the guild president in the following year. So we have a lot of guild presidents talking to us today. He has made his mark representing the university on a regional and international scale. He currently holds a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting, international public and development management. Mr. Williams has worked in areas of student affairs, program management, education, and media, boasting a number of accolades under his belt. Please welcome Mr. Siobhan Williams.
All right. Thank you very much, Nyoka, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for having me here. All right. So today I'm going to speak to you about having a business with friends and, of course, family as well. So everyone in here wants to start a business or wants to make it in life, and everyone wants to have financial freedom. Most people decide that they're going to go to school, study hard, get a job, work for someone. The fact of the matter is, you can't work for someone and have financial freedom, because the day you stop working is the day that you stop earning. What we try to do, we put systems in place that ensure that we always have income coming in. So if it is that you decide that Nyoka is tired of Jamaica and wants to go to Hawaii for a trip for the weekend or something, or take a 2 weeks off, she's able to use the funds that her business generates to fly out of Jamaica, go to Hawaii, go to London, Egypt, wherever she wants, and just relax for a while, because the system is in place and the money is coming in. But why do you want to always have that constant income? You want to have it so that you and your family, you and your friends are taken care of. So what if you start a business with your friends? What if you start that business with your family? This can be one of the most rewarding experiences that there can be. You and your spouse, you and your mother, your father, your brother, whomever it is, you guys coming together with a brilliant idea and having a set plan, and you work out everything and you go forward with your business. Perfect. But in actuality, a lot of businesses that start off being friend-based or family-based, they end up failing. They fail because they got caught up inside of the glamour and the glitz, and they just decide to say that I'm going to start this business, a great idea. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. We don't have to worry about no paperwork because we are brethren, we are family, and that turns around to bite you. So we're going to go through a few steps that can and should be taken if it is that you're going to start a business with your friends or with your family. So first and foremost, you must carry out due diligence. If you're going to hire anyone to come into your company, then of course you carry them into an interview, you do a background check, you vet them properly, you speak to them and find out what their intentions are. If it is that you're going to have a business with your friends, you're going to do the same thing. You can't just sit down having a conversation with your friend, and then the day after you say, everything when you say, we are work with, we are do it tomorrow, I'll start a business. No, you have to sit down. You have to ensure that your goal for the company is the same thing as their goal for the company. You have to ensure that you guys have the same mentality. And at the end of every month, you know who gets what and what happens. You must ensure that your due diligence is carried out, ensure that you guys are on the same page. As I mentioned before, having a company that your family and friends are a part of can be spectacular because you guys can feed off each other. If you have a close attachment, you know how to work with each other and you know how to speak, which brings me to another point, communication. When you're in class and you're talking to a lecturer or so on, you speak to them with respect because there's a certain level of familiarity. But when you're talking to your friends and your family, you say anything. So it kind of gets emotional. And when somebody is very serious about a business idea and you come and you critique them, then they feel small, they feel shy. And that's something that we can't have doing. Now, the perfect business environment, the perfect business deal is one where everyone wins. So it's important that when you speak to someone, you speak to them without any emotions. You take away the emotion from the communication so that when you're making the business decisions, you do it effectively. If you're going to critique someone's idea, you critique it because you may be able to find a workaround or a better way to do it. You critique it to bring construction to it, not to destroy it. What we're doing is that we're fixing the plan, not putting holes in it. You don't critique because you want to you don't critique because you want to make the idea yours. At the end of the day, the company is yours. And if your marketing director wins, you win. If you're the person in charge of sales wins, you win. If your accountant wins, then you win. There's no need to fight down anyone at all within the group. So emotions within the company, bad idea. The next point, you have to set expectations. Now, expectations are synonymous with motivations. When someone joins the company, everyone is excited and they're motivated. So everyone is going to want to write up the business proposal. They want to get out there. They're going to start selling. They're going to start talking to people and getting everything into place so that they can make as much money as possible, as quickly as possible. But if the expectations aren't the same across the board, then the business is bound to fail. So what you need to do, you need to sit down with all of your partners. You need to say, hey, Tom, Dick, and Harry, I believe that at the end of every month, we can take $100,000 out of the company, and we can share that $100,000 up equally between all of us. However, Tom says, no, but we're making more than that. How about each person gets $100,000? Now, the difference between $100,000 for each person and $100,000 split between 4 people is a lot. 2 people can't go into the same business with a different expectation of what they'll be reimbursed at the end. Communication, as I said, is important. Ensure that the rules are written down. Say, for instance, for our company, the Portrait Place, we have several people who manage the company, and we have a lot of people who work as staff for the company as well. Everyone has their own little write-up with their job brief, so everyone knows what it is that they have to do and which part of the process that they are responsible for. If it is that a client sends an email or they send an Instagram, Facebook notification, the respective persons know themselves. Once it is that has been received, it transitions there to another process. And the person who manages that process is aware that they kick in at this point, which means that even if it is that the designers are supposed to do the graphics, but they can see that the order has been made, but the accountant hasn't cleared it, then they can't move forward. They have to sit and wait until it is that their process is activated. So there has to be a flow. There has to be order. You can't say, we are family, we are brethren. I know how to do my part. You know how to do your part. So I'm just going to start working. No, I'm just forego your part. Everyone has to get the same level of respect because each small piece makes up that big puzzle and just makes the company function effectively. And as I said before, if your graphics is good and everything is clean and all the artwork is perfect, but the communication is horrible and the clients get their packages late, then the company is failing. But if the graphics good, the communication that they're building and the packages are there, getting to where they have to go on time, everyone is playing their part and that helps to build the company. Your showboating never helps the company. So respect each other's roles, respect the expectations that everyone has. And of course, an expectation that we all have is that the next person is going to carry out their role. I mentioned before that motivation is tied into excitement. When it is you just start the company with your friends and your family, you're very excited and you're going to be there every day working. However, a month down the line, 2, 3 months down the line, will that excitement still be there? If you work for someone, whether or not you are like over the moon every day, you still show up for work and you still ensure that you get the job done. So not because you're not on cloud nine, not because you had a bad month a few weeks prior to, means that you're going to stop. Not because everything isn't going perfect means that you're going to stop. This is what happens in family and friends businesses. Because they go through a little hardship, they say, nah, can't bother, nah bother, and they leave. And that leaves the company with a substantial gap. Something that we need to have is now gone. Why? Because they feel a little less motivated. So it's important that you always ensure that everyone's expectations are the same. Do not be delusional. Ensure that you carry out all of your due diligence. The fourth and perhaps most important thing that you have to remember when you're starting a business with friends is that you get it in writing. Anything you're doing, ensure that you have it in writing. If you go to the company's office of Jamaica, you can start an entrepreneurship. You can start a sole proprietorship, you can start a partnership, you can start a company, whatever it is, limited liability. The categories are there. And only thing you have to do is just give them some documents, write up some forms, and that is it. When it is that the end of the quarter comes, or the end of the month comes, and it's time to pay out the partners, you have to know who gets what. You can't be waiting for the entire month, and then when you're here, you guess what happens. That's why, as I've said before, you have to know your roles. What are the contributions that each person gives? Is it that it's a family-owned business, mother, father, daughter, sister, brother, and the father says, I'm going to give you $500,000 to invest in the company. I'm too busy with everything else. I can't participate, but I need to ensure that I get $100,000 back every month. So he only made one investment one time and expects 20% every month continuously. Versus, say, the mother and the son who have a bit more free time and they say, all right, I'm going to make calls, I'm going to go out, I'm going to talk to clients, I'm going to ensure that we get more customers, I'm going to talk to some new printers, I'm going to talk to some new shipping agencies and whatever. And they constantly work all this time. They don't have the cash to input into the company, but they have the time. What is the remuneration at the end? What do they get from that? You have to be specific. We have to know what's going on, because at the end of the day, the money goes back to the family, yes, but everyone is not going to be spending from one central pool. Everyone has their own expenses, they have their own needs, and they have their own goals for the future. So get it in writing. Ensure that you know what you're supposed to do, and ensure you know what your partners are supposed to do. Ensure you know what you're supposed to get out of it at the end of the day. Now, when someone starts a business with their friends, some people just do it as a side hustle, much like how Portrait Place started out as just a side hustle. But we realized that it had the potential to grow and develop into something much more. And something that started less than 12 months ago with absolutely no followers and no base now has more than 13,000 people following and messaging the page on a daily, asking for updates, making orders, and we ship to some places I haven't even heard of, all over the Caribbean, all over the world, because people see the idea and they love what it is. So if it is you start with your friends as a side hustle, ensure that you make all those jottings permanent. Ensure that you write down all of your processes. It may start off small, but it doesn't have to remain small. Business with friends and family may just be here to give you a little extra money in your pocket. But if you put together those written pieces, if you put together those processes, then you can create a multinational company. You can create a new franchise from this. But you have to be willing to just put it in work. So it's important that you take this seriously. Now, I can't stop saying this over and over. It started off as a side hustle, but the audience loves it. Friends and family love it. So what are you gonna do? You say you're selling makeup, and you realize that your makeup is something homemade and it's much cleaner, much more durable. It doesn't wear in water, whatever it is. And people abroad love it. What are you gonna do? You're gonna just make $1 million and stop? No, you're gonna try patent the idea. You're going to try speak to some people to get some sponsorship so that you can increase your production. You're going to try to ship it abroad and ensure that everyone can get a piece. Because at the end of the day, what benefits you benefits the company, right? So I'm wrapping up, but I'm just going to touch a bit on negotiations. Now, we're talking about we're talking about having businesses within the family and within the realm of your friendships. When you're having these type of businesses, it's important that you have a clear line of communication and you can negotiate for what you want. As was said previously in the presentation by Mr. Rattray, you need to know your worth and you need to ensure that when you go to that negotiation table, and this is exactly what it is. While it's just a friend thing, it's not a friend thing. It's a business. It's very serious. So when you sit down with your partners, you have to say, listen, I'm in charge of A, B, and C. And because of me, we've been able to do all of this. I believe that this should be my title, and I believe that this is what we're going to get out of it. Somebody else is going to rebut and say, but I also do A, B, and C. I think that we should be getting this. It's important that you negotiate these points, and you can negotiate through listing what it is that you bring to the table, listing the accomplishments that you've had so far, and speaking about how it is that you can take the platform from where it is now to something greater. But you have to ensure also that you listen. It's not an argument. A negotiation is simply a conversation. As I said before, the perfect world in business is an argument or a conversation where everyone leaves happy. Everyone gets what they want out of the conversation. Everyone needs to be a winner. So you're happy with getting 80% of the profit. Somebody's happy with getting 40%, whatever it is. You have to negotiate. 80 and 40 does not make 100. You guys have to negotiate to ensure that it goes down to a balanced portion so that you are happy they are happy, and everyone knows what they are about. Listen to what the other person says, respect and trust your partner to ensure that you get the most out of the arrangement. Because when this happens, you are successful, and when you are successful, the business is successful. I think I've taken my time, so I'm going to hand over to Nyoka. I don't know if there are any questions. I'm sure that she'll guide us accordingly. But I just want to say thank you to the Guild Treasury Committee for having me. It's always a pleasure to share and impart some knowledge where I can. Of course, as you know, we're here to give advice as much as possible, whether it is in the business world or in the world of academics or anything it is. I may not have been Guild President twice, like some of my friends here, but we've been around the block and we have some expertise that we can share. And on that note, I just want to tell everyone that the portrait place is having a deal for Mother's Day. So if you get an Atma portrait, you also get a Piccolo portrait absolutely free. So ensure that you drop by the page and you ask about our new deals. So Nyoka, back to you.
Okay, thank
Very good
you for
presentation.
yes, indeed.
I want to
Thank
bring him when I buy my car.
right.
See if he can ball it down.
Thank you for those profound words, Mr. Williams. And I'm sure what you have said has resonated with a lot of us today. We're going to open the platform for questions. So everyone, please feel free to pose your questions in the chat.
And remember that no question is a dumb question. You can ask.
Right.
Free don't leave here where you're getting the free knowledge and go elsewhere and have to pay to get the information. Use the opportunity that you have now to ask these questions.
Yeah.
Free. I have a question. My question is negotiation in regards to, you may have mentioned it in presentations, negotiation in regards to compensation packages at work. You feel like you're worth something. How do you impart that knowledge or help the hiring manager to understand that you are worth this and you deserve more than what they're offering? That's my question.
And that is to Mr. Siobhan Williams, right? Okay.
Chev can, Chev will.
All right, so
Chev will do it again.
So the question is, how is it that you prove to the hiring manager that you're worth more than what they're
Because
giving
remember that they don't know you from most times they don't know you, so they don't know. They can call and say, all right, yeah, calling previous managers, previous supervisors, he can do this, he can do that. But how do I prove before proving that I deserve more than I am being offered?
All right. So the simple answer is that you don't. You don't prove anything to the hiring manager. You prove yourself, you prove your worth to the entire organization. If it is that you're given a task to do A, B, and C, you, Mr. Watson, are going to do A, B, C, D, E, and F.
Oh, F, all right.
You're going to do everything and go above and beyond. And then you're going to go back and you're going to say, I've done this, and I have a recommendation. I believe that we can do this as well. If it is that you're hired for a managerial post, you're not going to go in there as a manager. You're going to go in there and you're going to act like a director. You're going to act for the position that you want. You're going to do the work for the position that you want. If you only do the bare minimum,
position that you want,
of course, you're going to dress for the position that you want. And that doesn't mean that you're going to come in a jacket and tie every day. It simply means that you're going to dress well, be dignified. If it is that you wear tight-fitted pants on the road, you're not necessarily going to wear as tight pants to work. You're going to want to be comfortable, yes, but you're going to ensure that your pants at your waist, the shirt in your pants, whatever it
They
is.
look the part.
Yeah, man. Just ensure that you look the part. You have to walk the part, you look the part, you talk the talk. Right? So in your conversations, you don't talk to them as an intern. You talk to them as if you're a permanent worker there. Talk to them as if you have plans for yourself in the authority or in the agency that you're working with. If you do this, it shows them that you're serious about the work. And that means that you are going to help bring them forward. Because if you do your work and the unit look good, everybody look good.
Really agree with you there, Chef. I can remember when I was being interviewed for this job that I'm currently in, and in the interview they said, because before I went into the interview and I knew I had the interview, from I just applied, I started looking up about the company and thinking, what can I do better? What ideas do I have? What can I change? And don't be afraid to criticize in the interviews.
Right.
Don't be afraid to say you're not going to say, hey, you're the worst or whatever. Don't be afraid to say, hey, you're doing that, but I think this can work better. Because that's why they need you. That's why the position is open, because they need somebody to come up with fresh ideas. When I was doing my interview and they said, is there what would you bring to the table? First I say, yo, can I use my phone? They're like, yeah. Because I had a whole list of things that I wanted to change. And after the interview was done, I could feel it in myself that I got the job, because the conversation flowed and everything that. And I'm not saying this to brag or anything. I'm just saying, based on experience or based on reading up or based on just having simple forums like this, the opportunities like this, I would have been given the chance to know what to do. So I do agree with everything that you're saying.
Yes, and I think it was Mr. Rattray who mentioned that we should always be prepared. So that was one of his fundamental stage, to be prepared. So Mr. Williams, I too have a question for you as well. My question is, I know you spoke about entrepreneurship and all of that, and starting from a small place and it will get big and all of that. But what about the persons who are interested in having a business or owning a business, but has not come up with an idea on what to do? How would you guide them in choosing something that could possibly bloom into something large?
All right. So the best businesses are those businesses with a unique idea, something that isn't already saturated in the market. If it is that you're the only one providing that service, then naturally you're going to get a larger percent of the market share. So you have to try and be as creative as possible. How are you going to do this? You have to look at the market and find out what's not there. Now, in Jamaica, there aren't many other companies that do what the Portrait Place does. But if you go abroad, you'll find that other companies have a similar type of business model. So what you can do research online and find out what companies A, B, and C do abroad. What type of products are sold in China, in India, in London, and try and bring those services here. If you are able to successfully bring those services here, then you can probably implement it into a market that is grateful for it. The idea doesn't have to be 100% unique. It doesn't have to be something that, just, there are very few things that have not been invented. Just take something that someone else may have started in the past, put your own twist on it, put the Jamaican flavor on it, and just take it forward.
And also to add, you had mentioned about whenever you're involving friends into your business, you should always have it on paper. So I know in choosing your friends, you have to choose persons who are on the same level as you, have the same goals, the same mission, whatever. But what about if you select those persons to partner with, and in the long run or somewhere down the line, they are not pulling their weight? How do you go about rectifying that situation? And it's your friend, so it's going to be a sticky one.
All right. So I mentioned before that you have to have roles and responsibilities, right? Now, if there are 3 people in the company, each person owns a third of the company. if 1/3 of the company is not pulling their weight, and you know they're not pulling their weight because you already agreed on what it is that they're supposed to be doing, then you can legally say, with all of this in writing, you can legally say that, hey, you're not doing A, B, and C, and you signed a contract that says that you're supposed to do A, B, and C. Therefore, partners 1 and 2 are going to have to remove you because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So you have to ensure that everyone understands that they're not permanent. Even if it is that you started the company, a CEO can be removed. And that is simply what needs to happen for the company to grow.
Thank you for that, Mr. Williams. And thank you again for your presentation. I'm checking in the chat if... Okay, so there's another question by Omari Brown. He says, what are some red flags when selecting prospective business partners?
If someone is unable to contribute to the vision, if you go into a discussion and they're agreeing with everything that you're saying and unable to present any ideas from themselves, then that's a red flag. Because it means that they're not thinking much and they don't have much to offer the company.
Right.
That means you don't need them here. If it is that the only thing that they ask about is the money, then you don't need them in the company either. We're not in a business to make money. We're in it to provide a service. We're in it to make people happy. We're in it to ensure that the clients are good. If the only thing they want to know is when it's payday, you don't need them.
Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Omari Brown. I think that's all the questions for today. And we're going to go into the fun segment now. We are going to have some giveaways. And these are credit giveaways, 200 credits. So, whether you have Digicel or Flow, we have you covered. So the first question is, what are the 4 stages that Mr.
Wait, Nyoka,
Rattray...
sorry, before
Yes?
you continue, you said the fun stage. This isn't the part where you're going to sing for us?
No. We're not going to...
That's not going to vote
We'll
that time.
close them off. We'll close
All right.
them off with a song. Okay. All right. So the first question is, what are the 4 stages Mr. Rattray spoke about in negotiation, when negotiating? So the 4 stages. All right, and I see we have our first winner, which is Miss Shemanda Curlew. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I tried my best. And she says preparation, discussion, bargaining, and agreement. And that is indeed correct. Sounds like you have been paying keen attention, Miss Shemanda, and congratulations. Just comment in the chat if you have Flow or Digicel, so we can cater to you. And thank you for answering.
Definitely listening. The next question is a very, very easy one. Very easy one. The question is, what is the name of the company? It's a 2-part question. What is the name of the company that Mr. Siobhan Williams works at?
You're muted, Shamar. You're muted.
And the next question is, what is the name of the company that he started?
So what is the company he works at now and the one he started?
Yeah.
For 200 credits. And please specify, guys. I see you typing in the chat some places, but you have to specify which one is which. So which one he's working at.
And which one is the one that he started.
Yes, in that respective order.
I should have asked his business partner name too. A joke.
I guess we'd have given them 500 credit for that.
Yeah, man. That would have been some deep research.
Top the credits.
Are we seeing the comments? What are the comments saying?
So Brittany Thickers says the portrait, please, and she also says Scissor, but she gave it in. Yeah.
No, we want the name.
Yes.
And you never stated which one is which.
Yes, we need it in the respective order, Brittany. Okay, so Brittany says he started the portrait place. Okay, and what is the other one?
And it's not Caesar. We want the name. We don't want acronym.
The full name, not just the acronym, Brittany. But you're on your way. I don't see anybody else contesting you. Oh my, Shamanda came and stole it. But I think we would have to give Brittany.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Shamanda just get some credit.
Yeah, Shamanda, yo. Next time.
Yeah, man, next time.
Yes, next time.
Everybody's a winner.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm at work. This is how the Observer sounds on a Friday evening.
Yeah. I've
When
been
they
to the
have no work.
Observer once, you know. I need to be there again,
No
hopefully.
problem. We have space over here. We're looking for
Right?
jobs.
Yes. Okay. All right. So congratulations to our two winners. Brittany, please comment in the chat whether you're using Digicel or Flow. And
I guess
also,
reach out and get your contact.
yeah, send your Instagram handle if you don't want to send your number. Yes, so send your Instagram handle so we can contact you and provide you with your credits. No bogus around here. So
yeah, this is the Treasury committee, you know, money over here.
Yes, let me see some fires in the chat if you enjoyed today's session. If you had any takeaways from this. So let me just see some flames in the chat. Spicy up the thing. And send some flames if you want to hear us sing as well.
Don't say no flame. If you feel like
The flames are
gems,
coming
you can just
in.
hashtag gems as well.
The flames are coming in. We have Omar with the flame, Torian with the flames.
Any gems? Give me some gems if you feel like they dropped some gems.
What are we going to sing for them, Shamar? I don't know a lot of songs.
No, we're not singing. That was a
All right, so I think we should move the vote of thanks to our guest speakers. I don't know if they're all here, but you want to go ahead and start us off, Shamar?
All right, so let's see if we can do it in parts.
Yes.
All right. So on behalf,
it's the noise.
on behalf,
not the noise.
The Guild Treasury Committee, all the persons that are here, we'd like to give a special thank you to our guest speakers. You're right, we're doing it together now, Nyoka, so you continue.
Oh, our guest speakers.
Let's go.
The producers behind this show as well for putting this on. And
listing the guest speakers, they are Taran Noir, Siobhan Williams, and Treasury.
Yes. And big up to ourselves. As always. Yeah, big up yourself as well. So big up to Shamar.
Big up Nyoka. And we want to say that we learned a lot. We learned four stages from Everton. We learned from Taran. We learned from Siobhan. And it's funny that they were all guild members.
Yeah.
And this just goes to show that if you work for something, you can get it, negotiate, sell yourself.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, and put yourself out there. So I want to thank everybody for coming, everybody for tuning in. And
if it weren't for you guys, if it weren't for you guys, today wouldn't have been possible. So we want to thank each and every one of you for being here. Thank you so much for participating and keeping the vibes. Okay, so thank you all for being here. Peace and love always.
Until next time, I'm Shamar Watson and
Nyoka Manning. That's a wrap. Okay.